session. Okay, if we're ready to start, I'd ask you all to join me in the pledge to the flag. It rolls out right over here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation,
Liberty, justice.
That's much better than Zoom.
Oh, it is. It is so nice to see everybody's faces. So, and thank you, the YMCA, for allowing us to do this. Thank you, LCTV, for, doing what you're doing to help out the town and its meetings. And welcome, everybody. Like I say, it is so great to see people, instead of little pictures on computer screens. Matt, are you going to stay down there tonight? Yeah, whatever you'd like to do. I didn't know if you had to go down there to be with all the stuff, the equipment. Okay.
Oh, upside down and everything. Wow.
Hi.
Oh.
We're getting seasick out here.
So Matt, do you want to stay down there for the Zoom part or?
No, Jeff's just gonna be running that.
Okay. Hi guys, I hope you can hear us. I hear these microphones pick up everything, so. We'll call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda, the minutes to the meetings. One, the May 5th meeting. Do we have those here? And the May 19th meeting.
Yes.
I had requested a change to the minutes of May 19th, only to make clear who attended that meeting via Zoom, via conference call. And in person. Other than that, I thought that was fine. And the May 5th minutes I thought were fine.
We have a variety of minutes
I
that
know.
need to be signed as well. So I'll just be passing those along. You've already approved them.
Okay.
Budget review.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the May 5th minutes and the May 19th minutes with a clarification on who attended via phone, Zoom, or whatever.
The 19th is when she did the phone Zoom.
Yeah, that was the last one.
Yeah,
Second job.
okay, and that change was made. Any other changes, comments? All in favor? Okay. Payroll account warrant number 67.
I make a motion.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, accounts payable. It's right here. Motion to approve that?
I make a motion, we approve the accounts payable warrant.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? What number is that?
68.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yep.
Presentations. We have several presentations this evening. The first is the Community Navigation Program. And we'll have the presentation first.
You can have a brief presentation. That would be good.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right.
let's do that.
Okay. All right. Well, tonight we're going to have a presentation about, by, and for the Community Navigation Program. And Karen Hager, I believe, is going to lead that presentation. But before we do that, I have a presentation. Each year, the town of Damascus, through a select board, select somebody who has been important to this town. And somebody who has dedicated their time and talents and services to the town. And this year we have selected Karen Ann to be the recipient, or to dedicate our town report for. She is a treasurer in the community of Damascus, and she has worked behind the scenes for many, many years. But last year when COVID hit and we thought it was going to be, wear a mask, stay at home for 2 weeks and then everything would be back to normal, and it wasn't. Karen Ann stepped up and did yeoman's work throughout last year and into this year in working with the Fill the Y buses and making sure that people had, that kids had diapers or formulas, that pets had food that they needed, because their parents weren't working and kids had no place to go. And Karen Ann made sure, in what she was doing here at the Y, in her Facebook posts through the Y and through her personal page, encouraging people to come out and support the various programs that she was working on to help specifically with the COVID pandemic and the many people in the community that needed help and didn't know where else to go. But she's also done so many other things through the years. Her work with the YMCA, working with suicide awareness, with drug awareness, counseling programs, with kids' nutrition, health and wellness. She has just been just a wealth, a treasure, as I said, for our community. I know Chief Warlick has worked with her for about 8 years, so that she was one of his heroes. And she's a hero to everybody. She's touched so many lives in the greater Damarstata area, not just Damarstata, but the mid-coast. And she is and continues to touch those lives through the many, many programs that she works on through the YMCA. If you don't know, and I think everybody in this room knows Karen Ann, knows the work that she does. But for those of you that are watching this at home, if you don't know her, go over to Main Street Grocery on Tuesdays. She'll be there with a YMCA bus, and go and introduce yourself and meet her and take her a box or a bag or something to help fill the bus. And we do appreciate too, all of the people that help Karen Ann be a success by contributing to the many programs. So when you take your groceries up and give them to Karen Ann, you're contributing to Karen Ann's helping so many hundreds and hundreds of people that are in the greater community of Damarstata. So she's also, you see her around town in her Jeep and spending weekends in the mountains and whatever. And, we're friends, Facebook friends. And, it's like, I have my virtual vacations and things by watching all the pictures and all the fun that she's having. She works hard, she plays hard. It is a tremendous boon to the town of Damarstata. So for all that you do, we dedicate our annual report this year. So thank you. Thanks. So you look here when you get your annual, and we did this week and not the annual meeting because the annual reports are available now. And so we wanted you to be a little surprised. So there's your write-up. So again, thank you for all that you do. And I'm so glad it really was.
Yeah, I had to lie for that.
So okay, now it's your turn to talk.
Well, I was trying to sell you on community navigation, but so Jason has some printouts. We basically just wanted to let you know, many here were present when we did our community forum, and we were, pulling the community together and really trying to come up with a strategic plan. And one of the things that we identified is some of the essential needs. And I was, we were all working on outreach here at the Y, but because of COVID, it kind of catapulted our strategic planning into my role that was organically coming about, which is now strictly Director of Outreach and Community Navigation. And we kicked that off with the town of Waldoboro, and it's going very nicely. They have contracted us through the Y, and I go there 2 days a week. And I encourage you to flip through this. I think Robin covered everything that we do. And I think the one thing that's important is that we did secure a single line point of contact. That's in my hands all the time. And it doesn't go through the front desk. People can call. I hear their story. And we figure out how to connect them to the services that they need. You'll see a page that tells what I don't do. I don't do case management. However, I will set them up with case managers. And, I was thinking about the couple of stories that have been successful with Waldoboro, and I sent it over to Chief. And, And one thing, you know, Waldeboro didn't expect is to me to support the folks that were foreclosing, you know, on property taxes. And there was actually somebody that had a $7,000 bill on his property tax, and I was able to meet with him and coach him through the process. And it was within 2 weeks, he paid it in full. And, you know, contacting CEI and contacting different financial counselors, letting him know he has options. He didn't just have to give up on his property. That was big, and I think it was even big for me. I didn't even expect that to be in my wheelhouse. There's also a couple of folks, even, you know, it's not like I know you're not Waldeboro, but there's a couple of folks that have been in recovery. Chief and I kind of tag team with them, and there's a person that we actually sent away to a really fortunate opportunity into a long-term 2-year recovery program. And this was someone that was potentially homeless. So, you know, that's a huge success story that I've cherished in my heart. There's actually an example that we use here of someone who we actually used to help. We got her on her feet, and now she pays back to the community. And I think Chief and I can tick off probably 3 individuals in our town that is now giving back to the town. So the dividends, I encourage you to call Julie over at Waldeboro or speak with their selectmen. The dividends of, I have not used 1 penny other than our contract of their resources to help support their citizens that are in need. Because this community is what it is, and all I have to do is ask, and the resources or our Y donors are ready at the hand when we put an ask out. So I just wanted you all to see all of that, and you know, and to continue to support somehow of the work that Chief and I do together and his department. I cherish them, and they've let me be part of their some of their cases, and I just want to continue to do that work that I'm doing. So, if
The
you have any-
sound continues to go in and out, and we can't see the speaker. Thank you. Thank you. That makes a huge difference.
Have a problem like foreclosure, how would I know about this service?
So over there, Julie is able to identify those folks and invite me. I do have folks sign a release of information so that they're assured that they're confidential, and either her or their selectmen might have a private conversation with a member that they know. And then I sit and listen to their story once they sign the release of information, and I vet out what services to connect them to.
If we know of anyone, or Matt or the town staff know of anyone, they can just make the connections.
Yep, we can have Casey chat with you all, and if there's even if there's outreach funds that we could contract, even 1 or 2 days. Chief and I have talked about, you know, would that be possible? So that's just something for you all.
Okay, thank you. Great program. Any other questions, comments? Thank you for doing that. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Usually I'm the one that gets on in.
Not this time.
I have several conspirators here.
We made sure he didn't lie. We told him you still had to make the presentation.
Thank you for that. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Okay, our second presentation is an update on the LCI Telecom broadband expansion that we've put off 2 or 3 times. But I think it's a good thing, because now we can, you know, we're here and not zooming and everything else. So it makes it much better. So, and if you want to turn
Probably put one of the speakers closer to.
yeah, maybe turn the Zoom thing around so Haas can see the speaker would be
Oh, he
great.
can. Oh,
he can.
oh, yeah, I see.
I'm not the only one who wants to see, Robin.
Okay, I tell you what, your screen is so far back, I don't know who is even on there. These old eyes.
We can read it. Thank you.
My glass.
Not as big as a cell phone.
Yeah, so I'm, as long as you're near that speaker, you're okay. Yeah,
You want me on camera? Sure.
yeah, that's the one that
Space?
picks up for the folks at home. Yeah.
In the corner.
Great, thanks. First of all, thanks for having us. I'm Alan Hinsey. I'm the Director of Marketing and Sales for LCI, Tidewater, Telecom, and our fiber optic network. And thank you for having us. Here with me tonight is Randall Manning, our Vice President of Operation and Engineering. So we're going to kind of quickly walk you through some slides here to talk a little bit. We always think that everybody knows who we are. We're right here in your community. You all know who we are and what we do. And I'm always amazed at how many people really know, what is it you guys do again? So we're going to give you a really quick overview of that. Then we're going to get into what we're really here to talk about, which is the map. Everybody wants to get to the map, but you got to go through my little spiel before you can get to the map. See, that's the price of admission, okay? So real quickly, we are a locally owned and family-owned business, and we're proud to be that, one of the family-owned businesses in Maine. Shirley Manning, you may notice the same last name as this guy, that's his mother. Shirley Manning is our president and owner of our company, and has been for over 25 years. We're part of the three parts of our company, really, when you think about it. We got LCI, our fiber optic network part, Tidewater Telecom, which most folks in this community are familiar with. And then our other piece is Lincolnville Telephone Company. All those come together under what we call the LTC family of companies. And our headquarters, as maybe you may, or maybe you don't know, is in Noblesboro. If you don't know us, you've driven by us a million times and didn't even know we were there off this side of Route 1. But that's where our headquarters are, we have about, depending on the time of year and what's going on, up to 50 employees and then contractors that we use as well. That's our primary headquarters where all of our processing happens, all of our day crews work out of that area. We have our own engineering staff that works right there, design and engineering. Our full customer service division is there. Our major central office is there too. And all of our internet provisioning is there as well. And all of our administrative offices. So that's really is the hub. We also do have an office in Lincolnville. That's a lot of people know us as Lincolnville Telephone Company. That's where we got our start. We do have a major office there as well, where we deploy troops for the deploy our crews out of that area for the Camden, Belfast, Lincolnville, and Northport area. So this is our footprint. When you talk about who we are, everybody thinks about our little area where we are. That's where we live, right? But our footprint in Maine really expands from Bangor all the way to Freeport. That's where our network is, and that's part of what I want people to see today. And so when you think about who we are, here's where our three companies are. Telephone companies, that little green blob in the middle of the bigger blob of our footprint. Obviously, Tidewater Telecom is there, and the Lincolnville Telephone Company, that is really Lincolnville, Hope, and Appleton. That's primarily what that covers. Tidewater Telecom covers the Dameron-Scott area, as you know, Newcastle, all the way down to Bristol and Pimlico Peninsula, plus other areas as well. That's the general area. And then the rest of that footprint is our LCI fiber optic network. So we're not the phone company in the rest of those areas, but we are a major provider of fiber optic network services, both internet, phone, over fiber, and also video. So for another look at it, then what we like to do is show people our network. So I know it's hard to see, and you know what? Sorry, I meant to do that before I started. It'll pay off when we get to the map, believe me. There. That's kind of intimate. I like that. Okay, cozy. So anyhow, this is the map. So once again, picture Bangor to Freeport, okay? Those blue lines, that really represents, when you're showing our map, the blue lines represent our transmission fiber, our backbone fiber, and how we run our network. One of the things you'll see, it's kind of hard to see it here, but we have lots of rings. This comes from being an old telephone company. We're all about redundancy. Wherever you see a ring, that's a redundancy. Anytime you can get cut on one side, and it'll be covered by the other side. So the network is developed by a series of rings all the way down. That's our transmission. Where you see those purple lines, and we're going to get into more of that when we show you your map of Dameron-Scott, we'll get a bigger view of that. That's where we have what we call loop fiber. So all along those roads where you have the purple lines, where our purple fiber is, if you will, that's where we can service individual homes and businesses all along those routes. So we have a transmission fiber that's really fueling the whole network, and then the purple lines. And that really is hundreds and hundreds of miles, millions and millions of dollars worth of fiber backbone that we own and operate for all of coastal Maine. And we're in all of these communities and most of the communities in between as well, all up and down the coast. So people lots of times don't know that we're there. That's our business. We're really doing that. We're servicing, we're up to about 15,000 total customers. When you look at our phone companies and our real growth area in our broadband, fiber broadband area, a lot of residential, obviously, but we're also one of the biggest providers of fiber optic broadband for businesses and enterprises. Right here, we're the fiber optic provider for the Y and everything that happens here, but also not Miles, Lincoln Health. We're provider for really all of the mid-coast main health facilities. Lincoln Health, in Bay, and also Waldo County General up in Belfast, and all of the related medical facilities for that, plus most of the major employers, banks, etc., call centers, insurance companies in our area. All right, last slide. Isn't this a great picture? Can you guys see that at home? I'll take that as a yes. All right, I love this slide. I got this picture was sent to me last November by a mother was out taking her son for a walk in November, and this is in a rural area up in Union, Maine. Okay, and they went out for a walk, and they were so excited they took this picture and sent it to me. You can probably see in the background there. That's one of our trucks installing fiber optic broadband in this most rural part of Union, Maine. If you could actually see, there's a little road sign up here. You can actually see what it says. It says road ends at 100 feet. Not only do they live in this rural area, they're literally at the end of the road. This picture summarizes for us what we're all about and what's happening in Maine right now. And that is to reach all these rural areas with fiber optic, this future-proof broadband that's available for the poor community. This kid's going to grow up assuming that everybody had a gigabit at their house. He's going to think, well, yeah, doesn't everybody have that? And the answer, no, remember the old days? I only had 100 meg at my house. No, these kids, yeah. So that's our goal. Our goal is to get 100% fiber to the home communities. And that footprint I showed you, every one of those communities that we're in, that's part of what we're trying to do over the course of time. And we're already having some success with that already. And how do we do that? We do that by investing millions of dollars of our own capital. We're a private company. That's how we do it. We invest it, we own and operate that facility, those assets, we take care of them, and then that becomes part of our company project. We also get grants, and one of the big sources of grants for us is the Connect Maine grants. We've done 17 of them successfully. We're just about to complete our 18th one in Bremen right now, which I'm proud to say Bremen, Maine, the little town of Bremen, Maine, will be the first 100% fiber to the home community in mainland mid-coast Maine. There's some island communities that have 100%. They're going to be the first mainland town when we're done with them. We're just finished getting the fiber up this week, the rest of the fiber up in front of every home in Bremen, if you can believe it. And we're finally doing the installations. Last year, the voters passed a bond, the $15 million bond for Connect Maine. That's part of what's funding some of this project. And those monies are available now. We also just secured 2 new grants from Connect Maine, one for Hope and Appleton and one for Bristol, of all together about $1 million in grant money that we're putting in another $2 million of our own money to build out those towns as well. Those towns will also become 100% fiber. Federal grants, that's another thing that's happening now. We're already starting, there's a lot of federal money starting to come down the pipe. I mean, I know you're all aware of that. It's here. The thing we've been waiting for is really finally here in terms of the funding for broadband, for fiber optic broadband in particular. Last fall, we were able to secure $2.6 million to build out 103 miles of fiber optic broadband in less than 2 months for the towns of Appleton, Hope, Lincolnville, and Bristol. That put us in, it was part of the CARES program for underserved student households and teacher households. So we did that, and by doing that, though, that also allowed us to build out and be in front of another, 1,500 unserved regular residents as well. So it was a great way to take that federal funding and leverage it for full broadband. And more of that's coming. So that's what we're talking about that. The last one is what is really important is the innovative kind of partnerships and collaboration with municipalities. It's amazing. I've been working in this company for 4.5 years now, right in this community. This is the first time I've been in front of this board. I spend my evenings I'm out all night at every other board. I haven't been to this one yet. But and one thing I've learned is that there's no cookie cutter solution for every town. Every town's a little bit different. We learn from each one. Each one has a different philosophy, a different appetite, a different speed that they want to go in terms of how they want to bring their community to hopefully to a full 100% fiber to the home level. So we work with towns to do that, and we work with them by partnering them to get, especially with these other grant opportunities to make that available. So that's a long way of saying we do this by doing it one town at a time, one road at a time, and really one family at a time, even one little boy at a time, as it turns out. So that's it. So that's that part. If you want to learn more about us, you can go to tidewater.net. Go on there. You can learn more about who we are. who the company is. Also, there's right on there, when you go to tidewater.net, right on that homepage, it'll say, check for availability. All you got to do is check that box. It'll open up, you put in your address, hit submit. It'll tell you if you've got fiber sitting in front of you or if you don't. And if you don't, it'll say, please fill out our interest indicator form. And please do that, because when we do that, that gives us another dot on the map. If we don't have fiber on your road yet, when you fill out that interest indicator form, that helps our engineers. We start clustering those dots. That helps us see where we're going to go, next. So that's that part. Now, thank you for listening to that part. Want to see a map? Yes. Of course we want to see a map. I hope you can see this. See, maybe I can take this off. Well, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna step back here. So this is basically Damerscott. See, here, that's the town line, I believe. What we did was, I just pulled off of our network maps, kind of where we are now. We wanted to show you where that looped fiber is right now in your community. Remember that purple line? Okay? We have transmission lines going through in and out. I took those off so not to confuse you, but the purple lines are where we already are to be able to show kind of the extent of the fiber build out in your community. And we're going to show you some other areas where we're doing some planned builds too. I do want to zoom in a little bit. Let me do that for just a second to kind of zoom in and show you. Let's see what it looks like right here. We're like everybody else. We go where the customers are. So more dense areas, and this is when you look at any town, when you start the process, that's usually what happens. That build out really starts in the more denser in community areas. The other areas that are less densely populated, they're harder to get to and more costly for customer, obviously, to build fiber out. It's anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 a mile to put fiber up on poles, and then you add on to the top of that some of the electronics that go into the central office, et cetera, those kinds of things. So they're extensive builds, but once it's there, that pipe that's there, that fiber optic network that's there, it'll last around the room here. It's going to outlast everybody in this room, and it's really only limited by the electronics at either end. And those keep changing and upgrading every day, so that's a good thing. So that's why we like to call it future. So we got the network there all the way through the downtown area, coming up most of the major employers, many of the households, Maine Health, as obviously we talked about that as well. So we back up again, come out. We also then, one of the things we're able to do when we're talking about our fiber expansion, going down 129 Bristol Road, right? Remember I mentioned that federal funds we got last fall, that $2.6 million. Part of that money, even though it wasn't meant for you, got spent on you. That's nice. And we were looking for ways to do that. We built out part of this because we had used that as a feeder to get down to parts that we needed to get to in Bristol for some of our project in that area. So that was one of the things we were able to do with that money. First, in front of many more homes and businesses as well. And that's how we always look for those opportunities to really leverage those federal funds. Then lastly, I'm going to stop talking and answer questions and let Randall talk too, is to show you this part over here. So in green, we talked about the purple. So everybody, not everybody, almost everybody along those lines, where the purples are, all those streets, if they filed right now, apply, they could get fiber. I'll be honest with you, we got quite a backlog right now. When COVID hit this time last year, our world changed. We had a 5-year build-out plan. It accelerated instantly. We thought our demand it got crunched in 5 years for fiber. And it was a 26-week wait just to get the fiber. People were buying it so fast, Corning couldn't produce it fast. You know, that kind of thing. So now they're catching up. The electronics is catching up, and we have a significant backlog. But if everybody wanted it, most of them could get it. We would have to build out more in our central offices in Damerscott. We'd have to put in more blades and more ports, those kinds of things. Maybe put up some more fiber, but that's already that part's pretty much done. Obviously, the side roads, those kind of things. These other ones I want to talk about. That's the green. Let's see, is this the road? That one is also designed, and that one is already being scheduled to be built. Once again, we got a lot going on, so that's coming up. So that one's we're committed to. We put it in our capital budget, our expenditure budget. That one's going to be done. That's also one, and it's partially being done because of this thing over here. And that main money that we got for Bremen. Part of that is we're doing this because we want to be able to feed that. So once again, leveraging that together, plus same one of those loops. Every one of those forms another circuit. That's almost about building up that redundancy. So that's going to come. Then we talk about these other things. Standpipe, right? That one's scheduled. The Shamrock is, I can't remember the heater road. I think that is also. And there's one over here. There's somebody over the town office that wants fiber. So that little green line there is we're going to, another 2 weeks, we hope we'll have you hooked up 200 by 200 megabits. So you shouldn't have any Zoom problems. Okay. So that should be good. And that's the other thing about fiber is that we can give you almost any speed you want. Well, we can. That's symmetrical stuff. It didn't used to be as important. It's now becoming really, really important because we're sending out a lot more than we ever did before. That upload speed is really, really critically important. Fiber is the one thing that can do that. Okay, bet you wonder what that orange is, huh? So this big orange line, that one is not scheduled yet, but in preparation of this, one of the things we did, and I'm going to let Randall talk about this, we talked to our engineers about, well, one of the things we want to do, it's Egypt Road. We have tons, we talk about the dots on the dots on the map that we get. We get lots of applications for Egypt Road, and we haven't been able to build it yet. It's very expensive to do. We've looked at that, we kind of know what that is, and that's one of the things that we wanted to start putting out there to have part of the discussion. What would happen next, second, third, and fourth? And that's one thing we think that certainly could happen. It should happen. Once again, it's a matter of how we do it, how we fund it, all those kinds of things. Maybe there's some federal funds for that. Maybe there's a municipal funding for that, and combined with our capital as well. So those are some of the things we like to think about. The rest of it then is, how do you get to the rest of it? If your goal, and that's why we're here to talk with community, we're having the same conversation with lots of communities. Our goal is to have every community around be 100% fiber to the home. Somebody's going to have fiber on all of those telephone poles, so everybody in those communities can have fiber. And some of them are very remote. You know, it gets out there, it gets harder to do. So our question then is to towns. We're talking with Jefferson and Waldeboro, and all the ones you can possibly think of us right around us. We're talking about the same kinds of things. And so we're having these discussions. How can we do that? What does the town want to do? Some of them are looking at options for doing that. Do we want to think about municipal bonds? Do we want to fund this? How do we work together? All that kind of stuff. It starts that community discussion about, is this critical infrastructure? How do we do it? How do we get there? What do we want? So I think that's really pretty much it. I'm going to let Randall talk a couple things. Talk about Egypt Road, but also about the value of that future-proof part.
Although Matt mentioned Egypt Road, so look at it, got a price on it. Egypt Road is served by Spectrum. So they do have bandwidth. Pretty much, I think everywhere in Damascata meets the minimum requirement of bandwidth as far as campaign goes. So there's no grants available to help build that through Connect Maine. But we're still looking to invest and find other ways of funding it, and that's what we're trying to do the last few years. And pretty lucky in the last year or two to get some money to help us use our money and grow and do more. And we're in a better place ourselves, so we can do more. And it's a slow process with so many towns, asking for help and to get broadband out to rural areas. And we're a small company. We're trying to do our best, but not too many companies are doing fiber right now. We've been doing it for over 12 years. I've been here 14, and we started building fiber in Edgecombe and fiber to the home, and we haven't stopped. Like Alan said, 17 completed, 100% complete Connect Maine grants where we matched more than 50% of the funding. We've invested millions and millions of dollars. And we, invested millions of dollars in downtown Damascata. Obviously, that Damascata is Tidewater's home, and that's where our original central office was. So we built out of there a lot to get to other places. That helped. But the question is, you meet the minimum requirement for residential customers and small business.
Right now, as far as Connect Maine is concerned, they just changed their minimum requirement, and that is 50 by 10. If a household is getting below 50 megabits download and 10 megabits upload, that they're considered unserved if they're not getting that. It was 25.3, so they've upped it to 50 by 10. We were hoping they were going to go to 100 by 100. I think they will about another year. I think they're going to keep inching that standard up towards 100 by 100, so that becomes the minimum. it's 50 by 10 now. So given that, between what we cover, what Spectrum covers, most of the, I think most folks can meet, are covered, are considered to be served. That they meet that 50 by 10. Spectrum can provide that.
Now, the question comes in, do you want to be a fiber to the home community? And we have, groups that want to do that. Bristol, we're working with them. Just got a grant for Bristol to do like a phase 1 build, and
There'll be 52% fiber to the home when we're done with this first phase. So
and we're obviously with CARES, we put a lot of fiber in front of Appleton, Hope, and Lincolnville. We just got a grant to build from the pole into the house in Lincolnville, in Appleton, and Hope, not Lincolnville. And we also had to buy a bunch of equipment. And every customer from the pole into the house cost us around $1,200 to put in. And so you add that up and you start to get to the 1,000 customer range, it gets pretty expensive. And then we have to buy equipment in the CL. And most of the time it's one port per customer. There's equipment we use that we can split up and do more. But it gets very expensive. And I look at it as when you built copper out years ago, it was pretty expensive to build copper out, and it took a long time. And rural areas suffered. It's kind of the same thing. So they recognize that now they're trying to support it with grants and funding because nobody wants to go there. And one thing we've been doing for over 14 years or 12 years is already built it. We've been doing it before the CARE grants came out. And so we're doing the right thing, trying to get up to those rural areas, and people need it. I mean, we really found out with the whole pandemic and the CARES funding, we kept to students that needed it. We gave them 100 by 100 free for 6 months in the free installation. And so most of them hooked up now.
Yep, almost done.
But the big thing is what's fiber compared to internet bandwidth. And I think that's the biggest mistake is that you compare fiber to internet. And for a community that wants to grow and draw business and help economic development, fiber is huge if you use it right. And when I talk to towns and we want to build a complete town, if they don't utilize it, they're wasting it. Now, internet you can get on coax and twisted copper pair, but fiber can do internet and so much more. And when I talk to communities, I explain that you got this big circle. If you cut the hair like fiber, you have this circle. You're looking at the end of the fiber. It's virtual, but it's virtual land that the internet rides on. Just a little piece of that.
Will somebody adjust the camera so we can see what's going on?
Alan's the camera guy. I'm a more radio guy. So it's like a circle, and it only uses a little bit of that bandwidth, and that bandwidth is separate from anything else we want to do on it. And we do this now for business customers and some residential, or we can carve out another VLAN for another purpose. Right now, we offer a streaming TV product that has all the locals on it, LCTV, and all the main locals and all the regular channels that you get through Spectrum. And we carve out a little bit of bandwidth for that. And we deliver that right over your internet, no set-top boxes, it's all wireless. And then there's so many other things, so many more other things that you can offer on that. And it's stuff we don't even know what it is yet. And we're thinking, we want to work with the communities and have communication constantly back and forth on how we can grow this bandwidth that we have inside the building. And some of it will be hospice, home security, home automation, so many more things that will just keep carving out a little bit of bandwidth separate from your internet. And it doesn't have, some of the stuff will ride over the internet, but it doesn't have to. And one of the goals here, and we were on the economic board for the chamber quite a while ago trying to think of ideas. And one of the things is I'd like to see a small business customer have a a virtual LAN out of their fiber to the home product, feeding other people directly, bypassing the internet altogether, offering services and never touching your internet service. That's the stuff that fiber can do that coax and twisted copper pair can't do, is limitations. And the other thing about fiber, it's not an up-to product. If you say 200 by 200 for the town, you're gonna get 200 by 200. It's not gonna be up to 200. Some days you get 70, some days you get, it obviously depends on what you have for a Wi-Fi inside or how you plug into it. But fiber is completely different. And if we work as a partnership and we help develop it in the community, economic growth, I believe in. And we have people that want to stay in their home longer. And, we have connections to the hospital. We can talk to, work out situations maybe where they can be monitored directly on one of those little VLANs, virtual LAN, that, and maybe even administer medicine. We don't know what it's going to be. But if you look at it like you look at your cell phone now compared to the flip phone you had, all those apps on it, you never would have believed that you could do that. You're sitting at your bag phone in your car, thinking it was great to get away from your house and be able to call somebody in an emergency. This is the way I look at fiber. Of course, that's how I look at it. It can grow, it can be more. And because of such huge bandwidth capacity, it doesn't have to be 500 meg to the internet. It could be 500 meg to the internet. It could be 500 meg to something else, or 50 meg, 10 meg, whatever anybody needs for home security or whatever it would be. I want to make sure you understand what fiber is compared to internet. And that's the difference if you want to build complete fiber in your town, because you already meet the minimum. So you could be good with that.
It's interesting listening to the discussion earlier about the social services part too. That's a whole nother thing. Obviously being able to age in home, stay at home. We think this is one of the biggest savings to taxpayers, frankly, around. I mean, if a person can, what's it, $200,000 if you move your home to a retirement and nursing home for a year, maybe it's more than that now. I don't know. It's crazy. If a person can stay in their home 1 more year, 2 more years, this technology will allow that, because your physician can almost be right here. Your family can be right here. All those kind of things. And with the social services stuff too, working with families and kids and community, that direct link, point to point kind of link is what fiber can really make it much more effective. So that's where we are. That's where we are now. And clearly we're interested in working with you guys and figuring out where you'd like to go as a community and how we might be able to help that.
We're going to keep building out in Damascus like we always do. We can only afford to do so much. If you need it faster, that's what we need help.
So yeah, questions?
As I mentioned to the board via email, LCI has been a tremendous partner for the town, not only because they're giving us an upgraded service for town hall, but
Thank you for adjusting the camera.
okay. Not only for the service that they're providing to town hall, but also, Randall's been involved on the business development committee for the chamber, and I've worked with him on that. And we'll, once this whole pandemic business is over, we'll start that up again and work on some economic development opportunities. But they have been just a great organization to work with.
We have our employees live in these areas. In fact, I got a couple on Egypt Road that really want fiber.
Nicole wants that. Nicole wants
Questions, comments?
And the only other item I'll add is that we have an intern who's going to be focusing on broadband service and be working with all of you. He's very intelligent and enthusiastic individual. So
email from Evan today, so we're already exchanging information. I'm going to get into KMZ to this file, so he'll be able to have that mapped out.
thank you.
One of the other things I want to mention is we're sending information out to the local schools. And I talked to somebody at like an academy, but also other schools that technical schools with math and
Right, we did the career and technical centers, the one in Rockland, the high school career and technical center in Rockland, the one in Bath. And then also with, we've talked to the counselors at Lincoln Academy and others about bringing in we're looking for students that are graduating and wanting to find a career. We need to train new fiber splicers or fiber technicians.
we just built a classroom in our facility, and we're going to teach everything from safety all the way up through to our ISP side of the house and fiber splicing and everything in the business office. We're just developing it now, and our employees are excited because they're going to be the teachers, and some of them are really good teachers. I've noticed that when I've gone down and the younger people are there and they're sitting there talking about stuff. So we grabbed a few of them and said, hey, you know what? We like what you do, so you're gonna be a teacher. And so we built a nice little facility in one of our warehouses, and we're gonna start with fiber splicing and safety. And then I'm gonna get our ISP side of the house, which is the internet provider side, and there's so much there to learn and neat stuff, fun stuff. Anything that we can think of, I'll put it all out to them. If there's something you think you can teach, let me know. And we'll try to bring students in. We're gonna even teach our own employees. So we all know what we're doing, But if you know any students looking for a job, it's a great place.
Here's my contact information. We need them.
Yes, and that's how you connecting students, how are you gonna, you have a plan of how to find people to bring them to that?
Well, what we've done is we sent some information to the tech schools.
Schools.
Yeah, and anybody that's interested, especially if they're, they like to, get out and climb a pole.
Yeah.
Learn about splicing. And fiber splicing is pretty easy. I have to say, I'm biased, but I've also got a lot of experience. The fiber splices we got are the best in the state. They've been doing it for 14 years, and not many people have been building fiber for 14 years to the house. And these guys are good, and I know that because I got to bring some contractors in, and they could hold the extra guys. These guys are good workers. They're smart.
Teach them in-house.
Well, yeah, so we brought them in, splice for us, and let's see how you do.
Yeah.
Teach them too.
That's a good thing you're doing, teaching them, because as your workers are getting older, age out,
We're feeling it right
we're
now.
all in the same.
Just retired. or-
Oh, it's good to have some businesses investing in that education.
We should have done it 10 years ago.
It's, yeah.
Listen, we really want to get that word out to them. I'm glad we were able to do this tonight. And so the folks are watching from home as well too. It's like, just give us contact information, get a hold of us. We'd have this fiber technician training position that we're hiring students, trainees right now. So
Why don't you put your first screen back up, because that does have your contact information on it, doesn't it?
yeah, you can go to that and just.
Tidewater.net, okay.
Yeah, that'll give you the basic information, give you the number, and you can just ask for any of us. You can ask for me or Randall, Alan Hinsey or Randall Manning, and make sure they get in touch with the right people.
We have a lot of fiber to build, and we got just in the grants we just received, and we got more plans. And so that's our goal, is trying to find more money to help supplement our bills so we can build more.
Any other questions or comments? Daryl?
Yeah, just real quick, do you find, I was gonna ask you about how you decide where to go, but you guys made some good points about folks checking online and then, putting the inquiry in. Yeah, and do you find it effective? Is that something that, a lot of people know that, so it'd be something that.
Yeah, we do. We, at least once a month, we sit down and we do that. We have a DOT meeting.
Yeah.
And it does.
Let's
It really,
map it out.
we're like, you guys run businesses, so you're trying to figure out where can I go next? Where's the next profitable piece I can do? Where can I get my return on investment? You already heard how much it costs per mile, so
Yeah.
we're looking at that. And some of them are just hard to build, and that's when we take them to the boss and say, we can build these. It looks like we're going to make some return on this investment, but these are really sparse. So can we tie them into this build? Lots of times we can figure out a creative way to do that.
It's a slower process, but we get there. And it's funny because I've noticed for a while in communities and questions they ask us just like that. How do you know where to go? What are you going to build first? How much it's going to cost? All this. And Helen and I, the first year or two of that, struggled with answering those questions. well, mainly him, developed ways and, these dots, that was all him. And working with other groups that help us look at the territories and really figure out what it costs, because our engineers are so busy. So we found a consultant that really helps us with that. And Alan's put together some really good programs on helping everybody in the business figure out how to help the customer faster.
And the last thing I'll say to that too is we have resources that are, if when a community is ready, if they're ready, they said, the question that's usually above everybody's head is like, how much would it cost to do the whole thing? When you're ready to know that, just let us know. That's part of this. We do have a process. We got some good tools we can use to help kind of. It's good. Good kind of sticker shock out of the way. So then you can start thinking, well, what do we realistically want to do? Where are the where are the target points?
But we have a lot of fiber.
So do you have that number by town?
Pardon me?
Do you have that number by town for each town?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, someday we'll ask you for it.
Okay. Well, we can. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
We haven't done it yet. Because we have to spend some resources to do that, but we certainly can.
It is frustrating to be out on the Egypt Road and see the families that don't have that. They have to go into the Y, sit in the parking lot or somewhere.
So spectrum available, they have to do that
Well,
still.
they'll come off the road a little bit, but you have a lot of the branch roads down through there where people live in.
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's really expensive to build down even on the lakes. We know by when we got some of the grants, we got a lot of that type of build, but a lot of the old telephone guys were just tough guys. They just said, I'm gonna build through the woods. They didn't think about building along the road. Oh, that's too easy. I'm gonna climb poles, take horses, and we're gonna go through the woods. And I remember when I was in a bucket truck and I had to get my hooks out and go, wow, I'm like, these guys. And every time I talk to an older guy, he's like, up and up, get out there and do it. Unfortunately, it gets expensive to run the fiber. You gotta clear the trees and go through those shunts and those wooded areas off the road. And I never understood why they did it that way, but it's a straight line. Yeah, it makes it tough.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. I know it's.
Working with us in the town to make us more efficient.
Don't hesitate to talk to us, Mac can call me anytime he wants. And stuff. So,
We appreciate all you do with us.
I appreciate that.
Next item on the agenda are citizens' comments and general correspondence. Matt, anybody?
I don't have any correspondence
Okay.
for you.
Anybody on Zoom that has anything for the good of the order this evening? Hearing nothing, we will move on to our town manager's items.
And I'm going to make this abbreviated because we've got the workshop starting at about 6:30. So I'm going to ask the chief to provide an update on the police cruiser purchase.
Is it okay to sit here? Hans, can you see me?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I hope everyone can see you. We've got problems. Somebody out in the audience is not on mute and they make noise and we see them instead of you often.
Oh, well, I'm really not that handsome, so it's probably for the best. So we had spoken several months ago, I think, about what it looked like to get a new cruiser and what that was. So I priced out all of them through Quirk. Quirk is really the only one that offers the fleet discount, law enforcement. Now, Newcastle Chrysler does offer the Dodge program. The program is the program. It doesn't matter who you bid it out to, that it's one set cost. So I priced out all the machines through Quirk. I priced out a Durango, an Explorer, a F-150, a Tahoe. I did not price out a Charger because I believe the board decided the last time we talked that a Charger was not going to be effective. And they've gone up a little in price. But anyway, so a 2021 Explorer was $33,820. A Chevy Tahoe was $39,812. So that, we'll throw that right to the side.
Tahoe, is that just a two-door car? Is that a four-door?
A Tahoe is a 4-door SUV, full-size 4-door SUV.
Two-door,
It's a
okay.
mini version of the Suburban.
Correct.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
What was the first one?
The first one was the 21 Explorer, which was 33,820. The Tahoe was 39,812. The Durango was 32,073. And then the F-150, the whole reason why we're here. Did I tuck it away in here? That'd be too funny. Okay. And the F-121 F-150 was 34,889. So obviously the truck is something that we tried to go after the last time we bought our Explorer, but unfortunately we weren't able to get either a Ram or a F-150. I did not get a quote on a Ram because it is still not pursuit rated. It is a police vehicle, but it is not considered pursuit rated. Not that we really pursue, but let's face it, I want something that's still going to be able to handle the corners if we're going to a hot call. So that wasn't an option. Everything I got prices for was pursuit rated. Here's the other side. You can't get anything because everything is sitting on a lot somewhere needing computer chips. So I told Leo at Quirk, and again, I wasn't trying to do this behind anybody's back, but I said, if you can at least get me a truck, provided that the budget goes through and the town votes for our budget. The truck is something that we want to do. And quite frankly, the truck was only, it was less than $1,000 more than the Explorer. And I'll tell you, the resale value, as we all know, on a 4-wheel drive truck after 100,000 miles is quadruple. They were going to give us $2,700 as a trade-in for our Explorer, for our 2017 Ford Explorer with 100,000 miles. 2,700. So there's just no market in it once a police officer has it.
Equipment.
No, in fact, we polish it and buff it and wash it. But so the pickup truck is really the way we want it to go. And again, we have enough money, provided that the town passes the expenditures. We'll have enough money to buy the truck through our capital reserve and letter it. So the equipment side, like we discussed, was if we had any extra money in this current budget, could we use that to equip the F-150? I have not ordered any electronics. I got a quote from Mike. It's the Coastal Electronics is who we always use. $13,190-158 is the complete build on the truck. And that is everything. We will be taking our digital radio out of the SUV and we will be taking the radar unit out. But that would be new everything. That would be the internals, everything we needed to make that truck patrol ready. That includes a waterproof tonneau cover for the rear. And it includes the same box that the state police use. So it's an entire cargo box that sits in the back of the truck and you pull a pin and the entire box will slide out, but stay intact in the back of the truck, but it will slide out about 78% is what they say. And so we'll be able to put everything in that compartment, our stingers, all of our flares, our cones, things that we don't have room for in the SUV, and be able to store everything in there, and you can slide it in and shut the trunk or shut the thing, and it's all waterproof and it's also lockable. So nobody will be able, anybody can get into something if they want, but in theory they shouldn't. They'd have to work for it. So the Coastal Electronics, it's like 8 weeks backed up if we're lucky right now. So if you guys authorize me, I do have some money left over in this budget. Not that we have frivolous money left over, but with COVID, it set us back a lot in our trainings. It set us back a lot in things that we normally would have expended our money on. We just couldn't, not because we didn't want to, but there was nothing available. And we obviously prepay for our health insurance for each employee. Even if they don't take it, we have to be able to provide that to them if they choose to take it in a life-altering situation or whatnot. So we do have some extra money. It's not huge. It would be enough to do the purchase the parts that we need to equip it and get us some new vests and a couple other minor odds and ends. We need vests this year at the tune of about $5,000. So if you guys authorize it, I'll put the order in. We're talking August. The reality is going to be August or September before the truck comes in, if we're lucky. But we do have one on order. It is going to be roughly the same color as the last SUV we bought, which is a dark blue. So it should look sharp. Yeah. Some of the technology is absolutely amazing that's changed in these vehicles. The spotlights are electronic in that they're set up now to go through your brain box. So when you get to an intersection and your lights are on, the spotlight comes on. strobes and flashes back and forth in the intersection. I mean, the safety side of this is incredible. And when, to do this check appropriately, we're not going to do a light bar on the roof. We're going to do internal lights in the front and the rear because it's impossible to clean these things off in a snowstorm. We get multiple complaints that they can't see our lights because when you're driving at 30 to go to a traffic crash, you don't have time to get out and use your thing to, wipe the lights. It was no more expensive to go with the inside lights than it was the external light. And there's lights that go along the running board areas of the truck. There's lights in the bumper, there's lights in the rear. I mean, they are lit up. I was never for what we call a slick top. I've never been for that because we're in a busy town and trying to turn around in the middle of the road without having lights on the top to see. But they've got these things so lit up, they're literally the entire length of underneath the truck. They're on the bumpers, they're on the mirrors. So they're actually even more visible than the SUVs. It's pretty cool. So
You're thinking that, sorry, we didn't talk about this earlier, but you're thinking that the board should authorize the purchase now so that you can go ahead and order it. And it'd be
Yes.
contingent on the approval at town meeting of the capital reserves.
absolutely. Anything over 5,000, you folks have to approve before I order it. So it would be a total of 13,190, 158 that would come across your desk to completely equipped. That's everything that needs to be done. We would get it on order now. We would already have it because I don't have enough money in my capital reserve. I have enough to buy the truck and I have enough to letter the truck. I do not have enough to equip the truck. So this would be a fiscal.
You don't have the money yet in capital reserves. That comes with the
Correct. That
next
comes
year.
with the vote.
So the board would need to authorize the purchase from Quirk for the
150.
Yes, for the F-150, correct. For
the
both.
pickup truck. Yes. So do you want to just tell what the amount would be again?
Yep, so it's gonna be 34,889. And then running boards, and he didn't give me what the price for running boards, but he thought that they were around $250. And it's much cheaper to do it from the dealer than it is to try to go buy them and get them installed somewhere else because they're factory installed running boards. And that also helps because they're warranted as part of the vehicle, not warranted with the manufacturer's warranty if we bought them aftermarket from whoever, Amazon or something. So it'll be $34,889. The reality is probably going to be $35,100, figuring on about $300 for the running boards.
Okay, well, I make a motion that we order, the police department orders the F-150 from Quirk an amount of $35,100. You think that's enough? Contingent on passage of the budget at the annual town meeting next week.
I will second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor? And do we need a motion to add $13,190 for the electronics?
Yes. And that would be out of this budget cycle.
Be your money.
My money that I currently have right now that would otherwise go into reserves or whatnot.
So do we need to
We
make a
don't have to
motion?
appropriate more money. He's already got it.
You have to authorize anything over 5,000, correct? So you would just be authorizing me the ability to order these parts at $13,000 because it exceeds the $5,000 amount.
Now, that's a perfect example about the town charter, making those adjustments so that the town manager can go ahead and make those things work $15,000 and less. And then over that, we go ahead and bid on it.
Gotcha. Having a hard line.
It's,
Yeah.
we're all over the place with that.
Good point.
I like the four-wheel drive issue because we have so many camp roads and
That Dodge Ram, we paid, I think at the time we paid 24,000. That's a rough number for that truck new. And I think it was around 7,000 or 8,000 to equip, but we drove that truck for 5 years and we netted $13,900 out of that truck. That's incredible, and I think, and I know we can do the same thing. We take good care of our vehicles. There's some accountability and whatnot. So I'm not saying that the truck is going to be worth exponentially more money, but the reality is a four-wheel drive crew cab pickup truck that's in halfway decent shape is worth considerably more than an SUV.
Better than a $2,000 trade-in. on it.
Yeah, for sure. It's just got to the point now for $2,000. Again, that's why we went with the third car. You're almost throwing good money away until the car finally breaks and is so bad that you can't fix it. Then you just get rid of it. because they're only going to give you 2,000, but it's worth exponentially more just if the staff is able to take it back and forth to even a dozen trainings. It's paid for itself in one season. So
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to authorize the police chief to spend approximately, can I say approximately?
Sure.
$13,190.50 for the purchase and installation of the electronic equipment on the new F-150, assuming that the budget is approved at the town meeting next week.
I will second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
thank you, Chief. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you for hanging in there with us this whole time.
Oh, no problem. Fiber optic stuff is kind of interesting. I'd like to see it so I don't go on my Zoom meetings. It was helpful. It was
And the
informative.
truth.
You guys have a good day. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just going to cover a few items.
Okay.
The Public Safety and Accessibility Collaborative has finalized their trail maps.
Oh, good.
Well, as soon as we're back open at Town Hall, we're going to have these available to folks, but we'll just pass those around. Take as many as you'd like. And by the way, take as many annual reports as you'd like to. We ended up with, I think, 2.5 boxes extra of last year. So pass them around to your neighbors.
This is cool.
Yeah, that's neat. And you were, the Board of Selectmen approved the sponsorship. Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Partial sponsorship of
This would
that.
be a good full-page thing in the paper, Evan.
Yeah.
I know, it's really nice, yeah.
So,
Well, congratulations and thank you
Downtown.
to the committee. Yeah, yeah. And just in time for tourist
well,
season.
take some more.
Yeah.
They're going to be at various locations throughout town. Yourself.
That's terrific.
Um,
Well, thanks to the committee. Collaborative, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I sent out information on the Vine Street drainage project. They found as they dug up the existing line. This isn't, I guess, really surprising, but there was deteriorated lines going both up to Church Street and then down the drainage ditch toward the coastal marketplace, a total of 160 linear feet. We'll need about 17,625 to have that line replaced. Andrew Hedrick has reviewed the quote from Farley, thinks it's fair, and is recommending approval while they're on site. I think that makes a lot of sense rather than having someone come back and remobilize to do that. This is going to take care of an issue that's been around at least as long as I've been here and probably much longer. In addition to that 17,625, the contractor hit ledge. It's not a large amount of ledge. Andrew referred to it as a ledge knob that needs to be either sawed or hammered. I asked him for an outside amount of what that would cost, and he gave me a figure of $3,000. So I'm asking the board to allow me to expend $20,625 for those change orders, essentially. And we would use part of the 25,000 that's authorized under emergency funds in the warrant. So.
You gotta do it right.
Yeah.
Matt, I got a question on that. I don't think it's off too far, but down in the coastal marketplace, we have that drainage that goes all the way across, that picks up the water that we have complaints about water over your way. But that is collapsing and it keeps going across there. And we talked about how does the town get a right of way to take care of that?
We have a prescriptive right of way. About 8 or 9 years ago, we cleaned that out. And I don't think we've been back since then to do that. But what we have maintained through this process and other times that we've adopted drainage ditches is that the town has a prescriptive right of way to take care of drainage.
Okay, so where are we at with that when the whole thing's collapsing right now?
Is it collapsing in the parking lot? Oh, I wasn't aware of that. I mean, it would be the same deal. We've cleaned it out before and we should be talking to the owners.
Are you talking about under
Under the coastal
blacktop?
marketplace parking lot.
Under the blacktop. You're not talking about what I call the creek.
It
That
goes
goes
to the creek,
Huh?
goes over to the
To
creek.
the creek. Okay, okay. I thought you were
Out
talking about
across
the creek-
Business Route
creek
1.
itself. Yeah, okay, okay.
And I think we talked about it a little bit before, but that definitely is,
I know we've cleaned it out before. I didn't realize it was collapsing.
you're gonna be getting a car out of there. This is how bad it is. You might wanna look at it.
Okay, and this is,
And there
this
were
is the
about,
area next to the,
So if you're facing the dollar store, be on your left-hand side by the
Okay.
propane tanks.
okay, I haven't gone back there.
Okay,
All right.
Yeah.
That-
All right, we'll take a look at that too. That's, of course, separate from this.
But that water ends up going there, right?
Into that creek, yeah.
And I've put the neighbors on alert, but I will, if you approve this, I will go visit the 3 additional neighbors that are impacted by this project tomorrow.
Well, I'll make a motion that we authorize Matt to expend $20,625 or up to that amount to replace culvert work on the Vine Street drainage project. Any other discussion? I'm not surprised about that culvert when I saw what the culvert looked like that was going through our yard that they
Yeah.
replaced about 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
And,
annual town meeting.
so yeah, that's just a reminder of the meeting next week. Election day, the polls are open 8 to 8. And on open annual town meeting night, that's at the school, starting at 6 PM. If you haven't voted yet by absentee ballots, you'll be finding a very long ballot because we've put half the warrant on the ballot this year, so.
That's right.
Well, I'd like to close the switchboard for election day because, our huge staff, the huge number of staff are involved in the election process.
Good idea.
And then I did send you all an email message on the COVID reopening. I think that's a good balance from what the staff originally wanted to do and accommodating citizens.
And you'll post that, you'll send it in your
Yeah.
email to everybody and
I will.
give it to,
Yeah, I'll put it on the website. We'll put it on our Facebook sites and I'll send it out in the newsletter that I hope to get out this week.
great, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's.
Official action items.
The payment in lieu of taxes, once again, Ledgewood Court has come through with a payment because they no longer pay taxes for Ledgewood Court. That's the Mid-Coast Community Action Group. So ask you to approve that.
Lou makes a motion to accept the payment in lieu of taxes from Ledgewood Court. How's that? I'll second it.
1,000 something. you know.
$3,565.78.
I have the copies of the.
it is.
We appreciate them doing that.
Copies of the town
Okay.
manager.
In the town report, I keep saying that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it jumps out at you. One shirt that
$3,565.78.
gives. Isn't that-
Yeah. And we've got, if you have 2 and then,
It'd be nice to see more.
yeah.
Okay, any other discussion on that? All in favor?
I didn't get the second.
Daryl, didn't you second it?
Yes. Yes, I
We're
did.
heading toward the end of the meeting, but it has the
Did now.
last agenda item on it. This has the last agenda item on it, the Mid-Coast Humane Society.
Okay,
Oh,
the
this is
last
a printed
is,
version of what I sent you. All
yeah,
right.
Coast Maine Humane Society. It's time to renew our contract with them. That was interesting. In their letter, they said that they're not going to use the emergency phone number. But I always thought that, after office hours, if you found a dog or something, that was kind of an emergency, but I guess not. If it's not being used, put it to another
funds,
purpose.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I make a motion that we authorize the town manager to execute the agreement with Mid-Coast Humane Society, or I'm sorry, Animal Shelter, for their services provided to the town for fiscal year 2020.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? The amount of the contract will balance out with the payment in lieu of taxes we just got, so it's kind of a nice a wash. Absolutely. Okay, before we go into our workshop, selectmen's discussion items, Daryl?
Good to see everybody, starting to get back in person here again. And yeah, we've had some really good presentations tonight. It's been a good meeting.
Absolutely. Okay.
I'll move it right along so we can get to the next
Okay,
one.
Mark?
The only thing I have is, I know that over the years, I think of George Hutchins and different ones that used to use their own personal vehicles on duty. And we were always like liability. And I see the road commissioner using it hauling around the mower. And when we have a public works truck, I'd rather see him not use his own personal vehicle just for that liability purpose. I think it's important to keep doing that.
I have insisted that he, when he does use his personal vehicle, he charges us for it so that his insurance will kick in primary and the town's kicks in secondary.
I don't even think we want to go there, though. Just have him.
Yeah.
We have a truck.
Use the truck.
And he,
That's all I have. Thank you.
I had nothing except what a wonderful day today.
Oh.
Summer
It
has
was
come.
beautiful on the golf course.
Rubbing it in.
Summer's here when the lupins bloom. It's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Okay, I have nothing for the good of the order tonight. I would encourage folks to please vote. As Matt says, it's a long ballot because of the budget items are on there. So pick up your town report. When you get your ballot, you can read it all here. And be sure to vote either absentee. We have the voting box in front of the town office, so you don't even have to go back inside. If you're going to go vote in person, please read it all before you get to the polls, just to keep the lines moving along. So, but please be sure to vote. And for those of you that feel comfortable coming and being in person, come to the annual town meeting on Wednesday night, next Wednesday night. So that's all I have. If there's nothing else, we can adjourn the meeting and go into our workshop.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
and if you could just give us 5-8 minutes to set
set
up
it up.
the presentation. And then for those of you that are on the Zoom call, there's the second Zoom link that you'll need to link into to get to the workshop. If you have any questions, send me an email and I will send you that link.
A brief commercial interruption.
I think we ought to make this our permanent.
I remember that just growing up.
So-
Yeah, on that 4.